Thanks for tuning in today. I'm John Holmes, and today I'm going to be your brush motor buddy. I figured that we'd do something a little different today in that I never did an intro video over who I am and who Holmes Hobbies is, so that's pretty much what we're going to do. I'll probably just start with me and what I did growing up as a kid and why I like RC cars and go from there. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to grab my controller and crawl while we talk. Have some fun. So I'll start with, I guess, a little bit about myself. I am originally from North Georgia. If you've ever watched the Squidbillies, Polk County, they're from Polk County. They don't specifically say it, but that's where they're from. And they're from Esom Hill specifically. I'm from Cedartown, which is right next door to Esom Hill. But the Squidbillies actually does a pretty good job of describing Polk County in that it's pretty backwards. There's only one cop in Esom Hill. He's really crooked, and there's nothing but red clay around there. It's pretty, poor county. But we moved up to Missouri in, I guess, '95. From there, my mom went to college up here in Columbia, Missouri, and I moved up with her. And figured, Columbia's not too bad of a spot, and just kind of hung out here. But when I was down in Georgia, one of my hobbies was RC cars. I got my first hobby grade. It was a Kyosho Raider ARR. I guess I was about 10 years old or so. And then I got an RC10 after that, real, nice graphite chassis. And that really started me into knowing how to solder and doing electronics. Got me into the electronics for sure. And so when we moved up here, we had a hobby shop in town, and my hobbies really just kind of took off because I could. That was now possible with a local hobby shop. So, went through high school, kind of moved back and forth between Georgia and here because my parents were separated at that time, and ended up staying here for college. Now, are we gonna get this climb? Oh. So in college, I had kind of taken a break from the RC cars for a couple of years, just really 2 years, and was doing a lot more biking and, just college thing, trying to focus on college. But in 2002, I got back into it. No, I guess it was 2001, so maybe not as big of a break as I thought. 2001, I got back into it with a Tmax. It kind of seemed fun, all the nitro, long run times, because at the time brushless wasn't yet a thing. But after a couple of gallons, it wore out, the old 2.5 engine, and so I ended up kind of looking into the brushless. At the time was just coming out. Leonard motors and what was it? MGM Compro controllers, both out of Germany at the time, through Fine Design, if anybody is familiar with them. At any rate, I blew a bunch of money on electronics because they didn't really know what they were doing. I really didn't know what I was doing. But brushless was just amazing. It was so much more power and speed than we were used to. Was still rocking nickel metal hydrides at the time, and pretty cool. 2002 comes along, and I got a Venom Mini Giant. It was technically my first little rock crawler, and just loved it. Rewound the motor to a 55 turn myself because there was no 280 motors of the slow speed at the time. And then got a Clodbuster, custom built a chassis for that, and then right after that built up a TLT, really just the axles, into a custom chassis that I built. And it's kind of hard to talk and focus on driving if I'm not talking about the driving at the same time. But at any rate, built a TLT, had the Clodbuster, and just completely fell in love with the crawling. I had helis, a lot of planes at the time, a lot of go fast. My Tmax I had converted into an Emax, and just completely let everything fall by the wayside except for the rock crawlers. And that was kind of the start of my obsession with them. Let's see if we can get this to hook. Unlock the rear. There we go. Lock it back. So fast forward a couple years, 2004, I graduate college and have to get a real job. What I learned is that my habit for rock crawlers and RC stuff in general had gotten quite expensive, and I could no longer afford to have this habit and be an adult with a house and working a regular job. So what I did in late 2005 was I started Holmes Hobbies, and the whole plan was just to basically flip some goods and have enough money at the end of the month to pay for my own very bad habit at the time. And after the first year, it was pretty clear that this was more than just kind of a side business and that it could be taken pretty seriously. It afforded me all the toys that I wanted. It allowed me to travel around the US, go to competitions, and was just I had a good time with it. I really was having a great time with it. So I started taking it seriously in late 2006. And in 2007, still not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life, I went back to college for a master's in business administration. I graduated college 2004 from MU with a basically triple minor, accountancy, finance, and psychology, and was supposed to be a real estate agent. And just really, I'm not a real estate agent is what it boils down to. I'm really not cut out for that sort of field. So back to the story. I'm going to college. 2007, I think it was, when I went back into college to get a master's degree. And 2008, it's starting to get really tough to be full-time college and also full-time Holmes Hobbies, because it was full-time at that point. And one of my cohorts in the college said, "Hey, well, what's your options here?" Well, my options are that I either ignore the business and it damages the business, I either ignore school and don't get my degree, or I hire a worker, and my concern was that I would essentially push the business under by paying a worker to do the work for me. And he's like, "Okay, so your options are fail the business, or fail out of school?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." And it's like, "Well, the fourth option is that you get a worker and it works out for you. So, I mean, what's it gonna hurt to try that at this point?" And so, I figured, hey, this guy already had a business. He had like 40-something employees at the time. So, hey, maybe he's got something to this. So I took a gamble. I got an employee who helped me fulfill orders at the time. And wouldn't you know it, things picked up. Yeah, I had a little hole there that wasn't there before. So I decided to do some rock stacking. But so what happened was, since I had an employee, the orders went out faster, people placed orders faster, and it ended up making the business pick up. So hey, that's cool. It actually worked out. So I had an employee at that time. So I graduated 2010, got married to my wife in 2011, and the deal was that I moved the business out of the house if she was going to move into the house. And I figured, hey, we're at that point, might as well give it a shot. So we did. I moved out of the house, got a little shop, split it with some of my local moped enthusiasts. We had some moped benches in there, whatever you want to call it, like a motorcycle shop, basically, where everybody is renting their own little shop space. And then after basically 2 years, I took over all of that shop space myself, and then I started Holmes Motion Control, where I was doing engineering for other firms. Took over even more of the building. Now we have 1,700 square feet or so of the building still, and we just kind of kept growing from there. And so it's been really just out of love that I started the business, and now I'm at a point to where it's a full-time job for me and 6 other people, which is pretty cool. And I get to do the fun part of it right now. I get to do the new product development. I get to do the testing and really just have fun with developing new products, which I really enjoy. That's kind of what I'm into, is development of new products. So that pretty much catches us up to who I am, why I'm here, and how the business got started. So let's kind of talk about what's going on in today's world in the market. So it went from being, you got to build your own. When I started out, I had to build my own rig. There weren't a lot of options for electronics, which is why I started building my own electronics. And today you can buy ready-to-runs. There's so many ready-to-runs on the market. It's honestly insane to me, starting out from having to build practically everything from scratch getting a Stampede transmission, getting those TLT axles, building them up, pretty much throwing everything out except for the plastic TLT housings and their gear sets, I guess. But putting new knuckles on there, putting new drive shafts in there, Stampede tranny, Stampede half shafts going to, from the tranny to the axles there is just completely custom built for the most part. And now we've got a rig like this, which comes with lockers and a 2-speed and just has incredible suspension geometry right out of the box. It's such a huge change in relatively short amount of time, but it did take practically a decade for this sort of traction to gain in the market. And I guess, let's see, it's 2018 now. My company, this is the 13th year of my company now. It just, time goes by. So we're looking at a strong market for the actual crawlers. And this past year, Castle Creations decided that they're going to get into it as well. They're wanting to do crawler stuff. And that put a pretty big damper on my business, honestly. And so today I've had to lay off 25% of the workers that I had previously, pretty much last year, because of Castle's entrance into the market. Now it's what I would consider like a real market. It's fleshed out. We've got all the big players in it, and now it's time to kind of start pushing back, so to speak, because this is what I do. I'm an enthusiast of the crawlers. I make the electronics. We do manufacturing in-house of the brush motors. We hand wind brush motors in-house, and that's something that not just anybody can claim. That being an enthusiast in the market, I really understand what makes a motor drive good and what a good motor should drive like, and I feel that that's kind of my advantage. Now, my disadvantage is that I'm a very small company and I can't compete on pricing because of that. I don't have 4 factories around the world in Mexico, China, and 2 in Kansas, and so it puts me against the big guys. But that really tells me that I've been doing it right enough that I'm competing against the big guys, that there's not a whole lot of room in the market sometimes, and being able to come from essentially nothing to having employees, I'm very thankful for that. So we're working on developing our own electronics. I've been talking with professors down at the electrical engineering department here at MU again, and I'm gonna start, I'm not gonna say which products I'm gonna start with, but I'm gonna start engineering products that are outside of just the basic motor range. And that's what we're looking forward to in the coming years. It's gonna take a few years to really get everything fleshed out and to the market. And I hope that we can survive over the next couple years and not just fall to the wayside under the pressure of bigger companies. So that's pretty much what it is. And in the meantime, I get to come out here at the hobby house. I get to enjoy playing with toys, enjoy making new products, and I mean, what could be better, really? There's some downsides to being a business owner, but I certainly can't complain. I certainly can't complain about where I am today and how I got here. Just having a business to pay for a hobby that I couldn't afford, and ended up making a real business out of it. So, you never know what's going to happen in life. You just gotta take a risk sometimes and put in the effort to make something happen, and sometimes it works out. In this case, hey, it's a beautiful day outside and I'm crawling on a Thursday afternoon. It's Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. So that's the other downside of being a business owner. Sometimes you forget what day it is. But yes, it is Thursday. It is a beautiful day. And I'm out here with a TRX4 with, why don't we just go ahead and say it. I got the Sidewinder 4 in there. We got the Revolver 540 1800 kV. I'm running 3-cell lipos from Helios RC. Really loving these packs, by the way. Very energy dense, 3,500 milliamp hours in such a small pack. Extremely pleased with how these have been performing for me. Got the Bauhaus RC low center of gravity battery tray in here. Let's see, SHV 500 servo. Had to change out because the stock servo died pretty quick. Word to the wise, don't let your TRX4 sit in one spot. Like with a stock servo, if I went like this and sat and the wheels were kind of turned and bound up, it would burn out the servo in like 30 seconds or a minute or so. So be careful of that. Be careful of that. Let's see, any other modifications? We got the Voodoo Klr tires on there. These are medium compound, which again, I can't remember, red compound. Sorry guys, I'm a motor guy, I'm not a tire guy. And then some Vanquish rims, some 1.9s, which evidently are discontinued. I have no clue what model that they were. I've had them for so many years. Had some comments about, hey, what kind are those? I can't find them. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. And I've had them for a long time. So just keep your eyes open in the used market, I guess, if you want another set, or maybe Vanquish is watching and they'll reproduce these for us. I don't know. But that's, I guess, pretty much all that I have to say. I'll just keep crawling and keep talking if my cameraman lets me, and he will, because he's paid by the hour. So I'll just call that good. Appreciate y'all tuning in today. Hope you have a great day. I'm gonna do the same myself, so have a good one.